The fluorescent lights of St. Mary's Hospital emergency room buzz overhead like angry wasps. As I rush through the double doors, my scrubs still damp from the rain outside. It's 2 a.m. on a Tuesday, and I'm already 4 hours into a 12-hour shift that started at 10 last night. My feet ache in my worn sneakers, the ones I've been meaning to replace for 3 months, but can't afford to because Elena's school fees came due, and the landlord raised our rent again. "Sophia!" Maria calls from the nurse's station, her eyes wide with that particular brand of controlled panic that means we're about to get slammed. Multi-car pile up on the expressway. EMS says 8 minutes out, at least 6 critical. I don't even pause to catch my breath. Just grab a fresh pair of gloves from the dispenser and head toward the trauma bays, my mind already shifting into the focused calm that 12 years of emergency nursing has drilled into me. This is what I'm good at. This is where I matter. Even if the paycheck is a joke, and the hospital administration treats us like we're disposable, when someone's life is hanging by a thread, I know exactly what to do. The first ambulance screams into the bay 7 minutes later, then another, then another. The ER explodes into controlled chaos, doctors shouting orders, machines beeping, the metallic scent of blood mixing with antiseptic, and the acrid smell of burnt rubber that clings to the victims. I'm assigned to Trauma 3, where they're wheeling in a man in his mid-30s, unconscious, his expensive suit torn and blood-soaked. Even through the gore, I can tell the suit probably cost more than I make in 2 months. His face is a mess of lacerations, but there's something about the sharp line of his jaw, the way even unconscious he seems to command space, that makes me look twice. "BP's dropping," the paramedic shouts as we transfer him to the table. 70/40 and falling. Possible internal bleeding. GCS of 8 at the scene, down to 6 now. Dr. Patterson is already there, his hands moving with practiced efficiency. "Get me 2 units of O- now. Sophia, I need a central line." My hands move on autopilot, prepping the site, finding the vein. The man's skin is warm under my fingertips despite the blood loss, and I notice his hands, strong and calloused despite the obvious wealth. Not a man who just signs papers, a man who does things himself. If you're enjoying this story so far, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Drop a comment telling me where in the world you're watching from. I love hearing from you. "Sophia, focus." Dr. Patterson snaps, and I realize I've been staring. "Sorry, doctor." I finish placing the line, my cheeks burning. What is wrong with me? This is just another patient, just another trauma, except he's not. For the next 40 minutes, we fight to keep him alive. His stats crash twice, and twice we bring him back. "Doctor." Patterson performs an emergency chest tube placement when we discover a hemothorax. I'm the one who catches the subtle distension in his abdomen that signals internal bleeding. The one who insists, "Doctor." Patterson order the fast scan that confirms a splenic laceration. "Good catch, Sophia, doctor," Patterson mutters as he calls for an OR. Might have lost him without that. By the time they wheel him up to surgery, the sky outside is beginning to lighten. Dawn in shades of gray and pale gold, filtering through the grimy ER windows. I strip off my blood-soaked gloves and realize my hands are trembling. Not from fear or stress, that's normal, but from something else. And strange awareness that won't let go. "That guy you worked on?" Maria sidles up beside me at the coffee machine, her voice low and urgent. "Do you know who that was?" I shake my head, too tired to play guessing games. Some businessman. Looked like, probably had too much to drink and wrapped his Mercedes around a light pole. Maria's eyes go wide. "That wasn't a car accident, Sophia. That was the Castellano hit. It's all over the news." She pulls out her phone, showing me a breaking news alert. 3 dead, 2 critical. They're saying it was a targeted attack on Dominic Russo's convoy. The name means nothing to me, and my face must show it because Maria looks at me like I've grown a second head. "Dominic Russo," she repeats, slower this time, as if speaking to a child. "As in the Russo family. As in Chicago's." She glances around and lowers her voice to a whisper. "Most powerful crime family. That man you just saved? That's Dominic Russo himself. The dawn of the entire organization." The coffee in my hand suddenly tastes like ash. A mob boss. I just spent the last hour with my hands literally inside a mob boss, and I had no idea. "Maria, I need you in Bay too," someone shouts, and she's gone, leaving me standing there with cold coffee and the realization that I've just become tangled in something far beyond my understanding. 3 days later, I'm in the hospital cafeteria during my legally mandated but practically impossible to take lunch break, forcing down a wilted salad and trying not to think about my bank balance. Elena needs new shoes. Again. I swear that child grows an inch every week. And Mrs. Chen upstairs has been hinting about increasing her babysitting rates, which I understand because inflation is killing everyone. But I'm already stretched so thin I'm practically transparent. My phone buzzes with a text from my daughter. Mama, when are you coming home? I miss you. The guilt hits me like a physical blow. Elena is 7 years old, and she spends more time with Mrs. Chen than with me. I'm missing her childhood, trading memories for minimum wage and the privilege of keeping us housed and fed. But what choice do I have? Her father disappeared the moment I told him I was pregnant, and my family, well, they made it clear that a single mother wasn't welcome in their perfect suburban world. Sofia Castellano? I look up to find a man in an immaculate black suit standing by my table. He's tall, broad-shouldered, with the kind of military bearing that screams security or law enforcement. His eyes are hidden behind dark sunglasses despite being indoors, and there's a small earpiece visible in his left ear. Yes? My voice comes out steadier than I feel. I'm Anthony Marchetti. I work for Mr. Dominic Russo. He doesn't sit, doesn't even ask if he can. Just stands there like a wall of expensive fabric and barely contained menace. Mr. Russo would like to express his gratitude for the care you provided 3 nights ago. He's asked me to deliver this. He sets a white envelope on the table between us. I stare at it like it might explode. That's not necessary. I was just doing my job. Mr. Russo insists. Something in his tone makes it clear that refusing isn't really an option. He also wanted me to inform you that he's been moved to a private recovery facility. His injuries were extensive, but the doctors say your quick thinking saved his life. The envelope sits there, pristine, and somehow threatening. I don't touch it. Please thank Mr. Russo for his kindness, but I can't accept this. Hospital policy. It's not exactly hospital policy, but it feels safer than the truth, which is that I don't want to owe anything to a man like that. A man whose name makes people whisper and look over their shoulders. Anthony Marchetti's expression doesn't change, but I sense amusement underneath the professional mask. With all due respect, Nurse Castellano, Mr. Russo doesn't make offers lightly, and he doesn't take rejection well. He taps the envelope once with his finger. Consider it a thank you, not a payment. No strings attached. He turns and walks away before I can respond, his footsteps silent on the linoleum despite his size. I sit there for a full minute, staring at the envelope. Around me, the cafeteria continues its usual symphony of clinking trays and tired conversations. Finally, telling myself I'm just being thorough, I open it. Inside is a cashier's check, made out to me, for $50,000. The salad drops from my fork. My hands start shaking so badly I have to set the check down on the table before I drop it. $50,000. That's more than I make in an entire year. That's Elena's college fund. That's a down payment on a house. That's security and breathing room and choices I haven't had in 7 years. That's also absolutely terrifying, because men like Dominic Russo don't give away $50,000 just to say thank you. Maria's words echo in my head. The Russo family, Chicago's most powerful crime family. I fold the check, tuck it back in the envelope, and shove it in my purse. I'll deposit it tomorrow, or maybe the day after, or maybe I'll tear it up and pretend this never happened. But even as I think it, I know I won't, because Elena needs new shoes, and Mrs. Chen needs a raise, and I'm so tired of choosing between electricity and groceries. I finish my shift in a daze, my mind spinning with implications I don't want to examine. When I finally make it home at 8 that evening, Elena throws herself at me with the ferocity of a very small, very affectionate hurricane. Mama, Mrs. Chen made dumplings, and I got an A on my spelling test, and Tommy Brennan said I couldn't do a cartwheel, but I showed him and I can. I gather her into my arms, breathing in the baby shampoo scent of her hair, feeling the knots in my chest loosen just slightly. This is what matters. This bright, beautiful little girl who doesn't know about mob bosses or blood-soaked trauma bays or checks with too many zeros. That's my girl, I murmur into her hair. I'm so proud of you. Mrs. Chen appears in the doorway of our tiny 2-bedroom apartment, wiping her hands on a dish towel. She's been our neighbor and Elena's babysitter for 3 years, and I honestly don't know what I'd do without her. Long day? She asks, and I nod, too tired for words. There's leftover dumplings in the fridge. You eat, then rest. I'll take Elena to school tomorrow morning so you can sleep in. Mrs. Chen, you don't have to. Hush. She pats my arm with her small, weathered hand. You work too hard, Sophia. Someone needs to take care of you too. After she leaves and Elena is finally asleep in her bed, I sit in our cramped living room and pull out the envelope again. The check gleams in the lamplight, all those zeros marching across the paper like soldiers in formation. I think about debt and danger and the way Anthony Marchetti's voice made it clear that refusing wasn't really an option. I think about Maria's wide eyes and whispered warnings. I think about the man on my trauma table, unconscious and bleeding, human despite everything else he might be. Then I think about Elena's worn shoes and the stack of medical bills on my counter from when she had that ear infection last month. I think about the noise our ancient refrigerator makes that suggests it's going to die any day now. I think about being 32 years old and feeling 50, about working myself to death and still barely treading water. I deposit the check the next morning on my way to work. For 2 weeks, nothing happens. Life continues in its exhausting rhythm of 12-hour shifts, grocery shopping with extreme couponing, Elena's school events that I'm usually too tired to fully enjoy. The check clears without issue, and I open a savings account for Elena, putting most of the money there, and using just enough to replace our dying fridge and buy Elena the shoes she needs and give Mrs. Chen a raise that brings tears to the older woman's eyes. I almost start to relax, almost start to believe that maybe, just maybe, it really was just a thank you with no strings attached. Then I work a Friday night shift, and my world tilts again. It's nearly midnight when I step out of the hospital for my break, desperately needing fresh air. After dealing with a particularly difficult case, the loading dock where the staff sneaks out for air is empty at this hour, just me and the distant sounds of the city, sirens and car horns and the endless hum of Chicago at night. I'm leaning against the brick wall, eyes closed, trying to remember what it felt like to not be bone-tired, when I hear footsteps. Heavy, purposeful, multiple sets. My eyes snap open to find 3 men walking toward me. They're not in suits like Anthony Marchetti was. These men wear jeans and leather jackets, and there's something in the way they move, predatory and focused, that makes every instinct I have scream danger. Sophia Castellano? The one in front asks, though it's not really a question. I straighten, hand already reaching for the door handle behind me. Can I help you? You can answer a few questions. He's close now, too close, invading my space deliberately. His breath smells like cigarettes and something sour. We hear you've been getting dough, friendly with Dominic Russo. My stomach drops. I'm a nurse. I treated a patient. That's all. That's all? The man laughs, and it's not a pleasant sound. You don't take 50 grand from the Russo family and have it be nothing, sweetheart. That makes you Russo property. Which makes you interesting to people who have issues with the Russos. His hand shoots out and grabs my wrist before I can react, his grip bruising. I open my mouth to scream, and another man's hand clamps over it, silencing me. Panic floods my system. I struggle, trying to remember the self-defense class I took 5 years ago. But there are 3 of them and 1 of me, and they're so much stronger. They're dragging me toward a dark sedan parked nearby, and I'm fighting with everything I have, but it's not enough. Then, from the darkness beyond the loading dock, a voice cuts through the night like a blade. I suggest you let her go. Now. The men freeze. I'm twisted around enough to see him. Stepping out of the shadows like something out of a nightmare or a dream. I can't tell which. Dominic Russo, no longer in a hospital gown but in a perfectly tailored black suit, moving with the fluid grace of someone who's completely healed or very good at hiding pain. He's not alone. Anthony Marchetti is there, and 3 other men who look like they could tear cars apart with their bare hands. They fan out with military precision, cutting off escape routes. The man holding me tightens his grip, and I feel something cold and metal press against my ribs. A gun. Stay back, Russo, he warns, his voice shaking despite the bravado. This isn't your concern. Dominic's expression doesn't change, but something in the air shifts. The temperature seems to drop 10 degrees. His eyes, dark and intense even in the dim light, lock onto mine for just a moment before moving to the man holding me. That, he says quietly, is where you're wrong. Sophia is very much my concern. What happens next occurs so fast I barely process it. Anthony and the others move as one. There's a brief, brutal scuffle. The gun clatters to the pavement. The man holding me is suddenly on the ground, Anthony's knee on his back, his face pressed into the concrete. And then Dominic is there, his hands gentle as they cup my face, tilting it up so he can examine me in the light spilling from the loading dock. His touch is warm, his eyes searching mine with an intensity that makes my breath catch. "Are you hurt?" His voice is soft, concerned, nothing like the cold threat it held moments ago. I shake my head, not trusting my voice. My wrist throbs where the man grabbed me, and I'm shaking from adrenaline. But I'm not hurt. Not really. Dominic's thumb brushes across my cheek, and I realize there are tears on my face. When did I start crying? "Get them out of here," he says without looking away from me. And I hear the sounds of the men being dragged away. Anthony's low voice making threats I don't want to understand. What are they going to do to me? I finally manage to ask. Something dark crosses Dominic's face. "Use you to get to me. You became a target the moment I sent that check." His jaw clenches. "I'm sorry, Sophia. I should have anticipated this. Should have protected you better. I don't understand." I step back from his touch, wrapping my arms around myself. "I'm nobody, just a nurse. Why would anyone care?" He studies me for a long moment, and in his eyes I see calculations being made, decisions being weighed. Finally, he says, "Because I made you somebody when I sent that money, and because my enemies will use any perceived weakness against me." He pauses. "You're not safe here anymore. Not at the hospital, not at your apartment. They know where you live, Sophia. They know about Elena." Ice floods my veins. "Elena? They know about my daughter? They know everything." His voice is grim. "That's how this works. That's why I'm here." He reaches out, his hand hovering near my arm but not quite, touching, asking permission. "I need you to trust me, just for tonight. Come with me somewhere safe. Let me explain everything, and then you can decide what you want to do." Every rational part of my brain screams at me to refuse, to run back into the hospital, to call the police, to do anything except go with this man, this mob boss, this stranger who I don't know beyond an hour in a trauma bay and a check with too many zeros. But my wrist aches where that man grabbed me, and he knew Elena's name, my little girl's name. "Just for tonight," I hear myself say. "You explain." And then I decide. Something that might be relief crosses his face. "Just for tonight," he agrees. "Stay close to me, Sophia. I promise. I won't let anyone hurt you or your daughter." The cars are already waiting, sleek black SUVs with tinted windows. Anthony holds open the door of the middle one, his expression professionally blank but his eyes sympathetic when they meet mine. Dominic's hand settles at the small of my back, warm and steadying, as he guides me toward the vehicle. "We need to move quickly," he says quietly. "These streets aren't safe right now." I let him help me into the back seat, and he slides in beside me, close enough that I can smell his cologne, something expensive and woody, with hints of citrus. The door closes with a solid thunk that sounds like finality. As we pull away from the hospital, from everything familiar, I catch a glimpse of my reflection in the window. A woman with haunted eyes and Elena's hair clip still in her hair from this morning. A woman who 12 hours ago was worried about refrigerators and spelling tests. Now I'm sitting next to Chicago's most powerful crime boss, being driven to God knows where, because I made the mistake of being good at my job. "Where are we going?" I ask as the city lights blur past. Dominic is silent for a moment, his profile sharp against the passing streetlights. Then he turns to me, and in his eyes I see something I don't expect. Not threat, not calculation, protection, fierce and unwavering. "Somewhere they'll never find you," he says. "Somewhere I can keep you safe until this is handled." His hand rests on the seat between us, close to mine but not touching. An offering, not a demand. And despite every logical reason not to, despite knowing that this man is dangerous in ways I can't fully comprehend, I find my fingers slowly reaching out to rest near his. Because Elena is in danger. Because those men knew where we lived. Because sometimes the only way out of the darkness is to trust someone who knows it better than you do. "Tell me the truth," I say, my voice steadier than I feel. "All of it. What am I caught in the middle of?" His hand shifts, his fingers finally intertwining with mine. "Everything," he says quietly, "and I'm going to do whatever it takes to get you out of it." The SUV turns off the main road, heading toward a part of Chicago I've never seen before, toward a world I've only glimpsed, in movies and whispered conversations, toward a future I never asked for but can't escape. Elena's face flashes in my mind, her smile when I picked her up today, the way she said, "I love you, Mama," with all the certainty of a child who has never had to question if she's safe. I have to keep her safe. Whatever the cost, even if it means trusting the devil himself. The SUV winds through Chicago's streets for what feels like hours but is probably only 20 minutes. I watch the cityscape change through the tinted windows, from the familiar grid of downtown to older neighborhoods with brick buildings and narrow streets. Then finally to an area I've never been before, where the buildings grow larger and farther apart, hidden behind walls and gates. We turn onto a private drive, and massive iron gates swing open as if expecting us. The driveway is lined with trees, their branches forming a canopy overhead that blocks out the streetlights. When the house finally comes into view, I have to bite back a gasp. It's not a house, it's an estate. 3 stories of stone and glass that somehow manages to look both modern and timeless, with wings extending on either side and gardens that I can barely make out in the darkness. Lights glow from several windows, warm and inviting, completely at odds with how I got here. This is where you live? The question slips out before I can stop it. Dominic's lips curve in something that's not quite a smile. One of several properties. This one is the most secure. He squeezes my hand gently before releasing it. And right now, security is what matters. The SUV stops at the front entrance, where wide stone steps lead up to double doors that look like they belong on a cathedral. Anthony opens my door, and I step out on legs that feel unsteady. My nurse's clogs completely inadequate for this environment. "Welcome to my home, Sophia," Dominic says, coming around to stand beside me. His hand finds the small of my back again, that same gentle, but possessive touch. "I know this is overwhelming, but you're safe here. I give you my word." Inside is even more breathtaking. The foyer has marble floors that gleam under the light of a chandelier that probably costs more than my entire year's salary. A grand staircase curves upward to the second floor, and I can see glimpses of rooms opening off the main hall, each one more luxurious than the last. But what catches my attention is the woman descending the stairs. She's in her 60s, silver hair pulled back in an elegant knot, wearing a simple but expensive-looking dress. Her eyes are warm as they land on me, concerned and curious in equal measure. "Mrs. Rosa," Dominic says, and there's genuine affection in his voice. "This is Sophia Castellano. She'll be staying with us for a while. Can you prepare the blue room?" "Of course, Mr. Russo." Mrs. Rosa's gaze sweeps over me, taking in my rumpled scrubs and exhausted face. Poor thing looks dead on her feet. "Come, dear, let's get you settled." "Wait." I turn to Dominic, panic suddenly flooding through me. "Elena, my daughter. Those men know where we live, you said so yourself. I need to get her. I need to make sure she's safe." "Already handled," Dominic says calmly, pulling out his phone and showing me the screen. It's a text from a number I don't recognize, but the attached photo makes my knees weak with relief. Elena, asleep in Mrs. Chen's arms. Both of them in the back seat of a car similar to the one I just rode in. I had Anthony's team pick them up 15 minutes ago. They're en route here now. Should arrive within the hour. I stare at the photo, emotions warring inside me. Relief that Elena is safe. Anger that he made decisions about my daughter without asking me. Gratitude that he thought of it at all. Fear at how efficiently his world operates, how quickly he can mobilize resources to scoop up a 7-year-old child and an elderly woman in the middle of the night. "You should have asked me first." I say, my voice tight. "You're right. He doesn't look away, doesn't make excuses. But we didn't have time, and I wasn't willing to risk your daughter's safety to observe proper etiquette. Would you have preferred I left her there?" The honest answer is no, and we both know it. I swallow hard, forcing myself to nod. "Thank you, for thinking of her." "Of course." Something in his expression softens. "I told you, Sophia. I protect what's mine. And whether you like it or not, the moment you saved my life, you became mine to protect." The possessiveness in those words should frighten me. Instead, it sends a strange warmth through my chest that I absolutely do not want to examine. Mrs. Rosa clears her throat delicately. "Mr. Russo, perhaps Miss Castellano would like to freshen up before her daughter arrives. And she must be hungry." "Yes, thank you, Mrs. Rosa." Dominic turns back to me. "Go with her. Get comfortable. Your daughter will be here soon, and then we'll talk. I'll explain. Everything. I promise." I follow Mrs. Rosa up the grand staircase, my hand trailing along the polished banister. She leads me down a hallway lined with artwork that I'm pretty sure is original, not prints, and stops at a door near the end. This is the blue room, she says, opening the door to reveal a bedroom that's larger than my entire apartment. The walls are indeed a soft blue, and the furniture is all dark wood and elegant lines. A king-sized bed dominates one wall, covered in what looks like silk sheets. French doors open onto a balcony with views of the gardens below. There's an ensuite bathroom through that door, Mrs. Rosa continues, pointing. Fresh towels are in the cabinet, and I'll have some clothes brought up for you. You look about the same size as Mr. Russo's sister. He has a sister? I don't know why this surprises me, but it does. Mrs. Rosa smiles. Gianna passed away 5 years ago. Cancer. Her expression grows sad. Mr. Russo took it very hard. He keeps her clothes. Can't seem to let them go. But I think she would have liked you wearing them. She was a nurse too, did volunteer work at a children's hospital. The information settles over me like a weight. This dangerous man who commands fear and respect had a sister who was a nurse. A sister he loved enough that he can't bear to give away her things 5 years after her death. I'm sorry, I say quietly. I can't imagine losing someone like that. He closed off after she died, Mrs. Rosa says, straightening a pillow that doesn't need straightening. Became harder, more focused on business. Until tonight. I don't think I've seen him genuinely concerned about another person in years. She looks at me meaningfully. Whatever brought you here, dear, I'm glad for it. He needs someone to remind him he's still human. Before I can respond to that loaded statement, she's ushering me toward the bathroom. You shower. I'll have food sent up. And don't worry about your daughter, Mr. Russo would. Never let anything happen to a child. He's many things, but he's not a monster. The shower is exactly what I need. I stand under water that's almost too hot, letting it wash away the hospital smell and the fear and the lingering sensation of that man's hand on my wrist. When I finally emerge, wrapped in a towel that's softer than anything I've ever owned, I find clothes laid out on the bed. They're simple but beautiful. Soft leggings and an oversized sweater in a deep green that Mrs. Rosa was right about the size. They fit perfectly, and when I catch my reflection in the mirror, I barely recognize myself. I look less exhausted, less worn down. Almost like someone who belongs in a place like this. Almost. A knock on the door makes me turn. Come in. Dominic enters, and for a moment we just look at each other. He's changed too, out of the suit and into dark jeans and a black shirt that's somehow more intimidating than the formal wear. Less businessman, more dangerous. Elena just arrived, he says. She's asking for you, and Mrs. Chen is concerned but unharmed. Relief floods through me so powerfully I actually sway. Can I see her? Of course. He steps aside, gesturing for me to precede him. She's in the kitchen with Mrs. Rosa, having hot chocolate and cookies. I hope that's all right. We walk back downstairs, and I'm hyper-aware of him behind me, his presence like heat at my back. The kitchen turns out to be a massive space, with commercial-grade appliances and a large island in the center. And there, sitting on a stool with her feet swinging and a mustache of chocolate on her upper lip, is my daughter. Mama! Elena shouts, launching herself off the stool and running to me. I catch her, lifting her up even though she's getting too big for it, breathing in the familiar scent of her hair. Hi, baby. Are you okay? I'm fine. Mama, this place is like a palace. And Mrs. Rosa made me hot chocolate with real whipped cream, not the stuff from a can. She pulls back to look at me, her eyes wide. Are we really staying here? The nice men said we were going on an adventure, but Mrs. Chen looked worried. If you're hooked on this story, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Your support means everything and helps me bring you more emotional stories like this one. I glance over Elena's shoulder to where Mrs. Chen sits at the island, looking completely out of place in her comfortable house dress among all this luxury. She meets my eyes with a question in hers, and I try to convey reassurance I don't entirely feel. We're going to stay here for a little while, I tell Elena, setting her down but keeping hold of her hand. Just until some things get sorted out, but it's going to be fine, I promise. Is it because of bad men? Elena asks with the blunt perception of children. The nice men who brought us here had guns. I saw them. My heart clenches. Elena, it's because of me, Dominic says, and I turn to Wis, find him crouching down to Elena's level, his expression gentle in a way I wouldn't have thought possible. Some people are upset with me, and I asked your mom to help me with something. But I don't want those people to bother you or your mom, so I invited you to stay here where you'll be safe. Is that okay? Elena studies him with the serious consideration of a 7-year-old deciding if an adult is trustworthy. Are you a good guy or a bad guy? The question hangs in the air. I hold my breath, wondering how he'll answer. How do you explain to a child that the world isn't that simple? That sometimes people exist in shades of gray? I try to be good to the people I care about, Dominic says finally. And I care about keeping you and your mom safe. Does that make me good enough? Elena considers this, then nods decisively. Okay, but only if there's a pool. Do you have a pool? Despite everything, I feel laughter bubble up in my chest. Leave it to Elena to worry about swimming while, surrounded by armed men and mob bosses. Dominic's lips curve in a genuine smile, the first real one I've seen from him. I do have a pool, and a library, and a theater room, and a garden with a koi pond. Would you like Mrs. Rosa to show you around tomorrow? Can I, Mama? Elena turns to me, bouncing on her toes. What am I supposed to say? No, we can't stay in the palace with the pool because the man offering us protection is dangerous? That the reason we need protection at all is because I accepted money from said dangerous man? Yes, baby, but it's very late now. You should be in bed. Mrs. Rosa appears as if summoned. I've prepared a room right next to your mother's, dear. Come on, I'll show you. Elena hugs me fiercely, then surprises me by turning and hugging Dominic too. Thank you for the hot chocolate, she says solemnly. And for keeping Mama safe. I see something flicker across his face. Surprise and something softer, before he returns the hug carefully, as if afraid he might break her. You're welcome, Piccola. Sleep well. As Mrs. Rosa leads Elena away, chattering about the size of her new room, I turn to Mrs. Chen, who's been silent through all of this. Mrs. Chen, I'm so sorry. I never meant to drag you into... She holds up a hand, stopping me. Those men who came, they were polite, respectful. They explained that you and Elena needed help, that there was danger. They asked if I would come too, to help Elena feel safe. She looks past me to where Dominic stands. A man who thinks of a child's comfort in the middle of a crisis. That's a man with honor. Thank you for coming, Dominic says to her. A room has been prepared for you as well, whenever you're ready. But if you prefer, a car can take you home tonight with a security detail to keep you safe. Mrs. Chen shakes her head. That child needs familiar faces right now. I'll stay, at least for tonight. She levels a look at him that would cow men half his size. But you hurt either of them, and you'll answer to me. Understood? I expect him to be offended, or amused. Instead, he nods seriously. Understood, Mrs. Chen. You have my word. After Mrs. Chen follows Mrs. Rosa upstairs. I'm finally alone with Dominic in the massive kitchen. The silence stretches between us, full of everything that's happened tonight and everything that still needs to be said. You promised me answers, I say finally, leaning against the island because my legs are shaking again. I need to understand what I'm caught in the middle of. What Elena is caught in the middle of. You deserve that. He moves to a cabinet, pulling out a bottle of whiskey and 2 glasses. And I'll tell you everything. But you might want to drink first. I don't usually drink, but tonight feels like an exception. I accept the glass he pours, taking a small sip that burns all the way down. Dominic leans against the counter across from me, his whiskey untouched. 3 weeks ago, my organization intercepted a shipment that belonged to the Castellano family. Not related to you, he adds quickly, seeing my reaction to the name. Just an unfortunate coincidence. The Castellanos run most of the drug trade on the south side. We run everything else, legitimate and otherwise. Otherwise, I repeat, meaning not legitimate. He doesn't flinch from the accusation in my tone. Meaning we operate in gray areas, protection services, gambling, some loan operations. We don't touch drugs, don't touch human trafficking, don't touch anything that hurts innocents. But we're not choir boys either. I take another sip of whiskey, trying to process this. And this shipment contained something the Castellanos don't want publicized. Evidence of deals they've made, people they've paid off. Information that could bring down their entire operation if it got into the right hands. His jaw tightens. Or the wrong ones. And they think you're going to use it against them. They know I'm going to use it against them. The desire. Question is when and how. He finally takes a drink, his eyes never leaving mine. Marco Castellano, the head of their family, is desperate to get it back. Desperate enough to target anyone connected to me. But I'm not connected to you, I protest. I just treated you in the ER. That's all. The moment I sent that check, You became connected. His expression is grim. In this world, Sophia, perception is reality. The Castellanos saw me send you $50,000. They know that's not normal, not for a simple thank you. They think you're either working for me or important to me. Either way, you became a target. The unfairness of it all makes me want to scream. So I saved your life, and for that, my daughter and I get to be targets for some drug lord? Yes. No excuses, no pretty words to soften the reality, and I take full responsibility for that, which is why I'm going to fix it. How? I set down the whiskey glass before I throw it. How do you fix this? Can you unsend the check? Can you make them forget I exist? No. He sets down his own glass and moves closer, not touching but near enough that I can feel the heat of him. But I can eliminate the threat. Marco Castellano and I have been heading toward war for months. This just accelerates the timeline. War. The word hangs between us, heavy with implications of violence and death. People will die, I say quietly. Yes. Still no apology, no attempt to sugarcoat. But better them than you or Elena. I look up at him, this man who 12 days ago was a stranger bleeding out on my trauma table. Now he's talking about starting a war to protect me, as if that's a normal, reasonable response. Why? The question comes out barely above a whisper. Why go to war for someone you don't even know? Why bring me and Elena here, upend your life, make yourself a target? Is it really just guilt over the check? Something shifts in his expression, the professional mask cracking to reveal something raw. Underneath. When I was unconscious in that hospital, I was aware sometimes, not fully, but enough. I heard your voice. Felt your hands. His own hand comes up, hovering near my face but not quite touching. You talked to me while you worked. Told me to hang on, that I wasn't allowed to die on your watch. Your voice was the only thing anchoring me to this world. My breath catches. I don't remember talking to him specifically, but it's habit, something I do with all my critical patients. Talk to them like they can hear, because sometimes they can. When I woke up and asked about the staff who treated me, they told me about you. The single mother working double shifts, sending money to her daughter's school, always the first to volunteer for the hardest cases. His hand finally makes contact, his fingers gentle against my cheek. Then I had you investigated, and I learned about your ex, about how you rebuilt your life from nothing, about how you're raising an incredible little girl, alone and making it work through sheer determination. Tears prick my eyes. That doesn't explain. You're extraordinary, Sophia, he says simply. And extraordinary things are rare in my world. Worth protecting. Worth, he stops, as if catching himself before saying something he's not ready to voice. Worth starting a war over? I finish for him, my voice shaking. Yes. The word is quiet but absolute. I've killed for less and will again. But this isn't just about guilt or debt. This is about choosing to protect something good in a world that's usually very bad. Choosing to be the man my sister thought I could be instead of just the monster everyone expects. His sister, the nurse, the one who died 5 years ago and left him closed off. Harder. I think about everything that's happened tonight. The attack at the hospital, the efficiency with which he extracted me and Elena and Mrs. Chen from danger, the way he looked at my daughter with gentleness I wouldn't have thought him capable of. The clothes that belonged to a dead sister he loved so much he can't let them go. This is madness. Complete insanity. I should demand he take us home. Should call the police. Should do anything except stand here in his kitchen wearing his dead sister's clothes while he touches my face like I'm something precious. I'm scared. I admit, the words breaking free. I'm terrified, Dominic. For Elena. For myself. For what this means. I know. His other hand comes up, cradling my face between his palms. And I'm not going to lie to you and say there's no danger. There is. This world I live in, it's dark and violent and unforgiving. His thumbs brush away tears I didn't realize were falling. But I swear to you, on my sister's memory, on everything I hold sacred, I will keep you safe. Both of you. Whatever it takes. I believe him. God help me, I believe him. How long? I ask. How long do we have to hide here? Not hide. There's steel in his voice now. You're not hiding. Sophia, you're protected. There's a difference. He drops his hands but doesn't step back. And as for how long, a week, maybe 2. The Castellanos are already weakened from losing that shipment. A few strategic moves, some pressure in the right places, and this ends. With them dead, I say flatly. With them neutralized. He picks up his whiskey again, downs it in one swallow. Dead if necessary, but I'm not a psychopath. If they can be handled another way, they will be. The distinction seems thin to me, but I'm too exhausted to argue. I should check on Elena. Of course. He walks me to the kitchen door, that possessive hand returning to the small of my back. Your rooms are secure, guards posted on your floor. If you need anything, there's a phone by your bed. Dial 0, it reaches Mrs. Rosa. Dial 1, it reaches me. We climb the stairs together in silence. At my door, I turn to him, and we stand there in the dim hallway light. So many things unsaid between us. Thank you, I finally manage. For Elena, for Mrs. Chen, for everything. Don't thank me yet. His smile is wry, sad. This is my fault you're here in the first place. Maybe. I surprise myself by reaching out, my hand resting briefly on his arm. But you're also the reason we're safe. That counts for something. His hand covers mine, warm and strong. Get some rest, Sophia. Tomorrow I'll show you around properly, answer any questions you have. For tonight, just sleep knowing you're safe. I slip into my room and find Elena already asleep in the bed next to mine, curled up like a kitten, her face peaceful in the soft glow of a nightlight. Mrs. Chen sits in a chair by the window, and she looks up when I enter. She went down easy, Mrs. Chen whispers. Barely made it through one story. Thank you for being here, I say, sinking onto the edge of my bed. I don't know what I'd do without you. That man out there, Mrs. Chen says, nodding toward the door. He's dangerous, Sophia. You know that. Yes, yes. But he looks at you like you're the only light in a dark room. She stands, moving toward the door. Just be careful. Men like that. They burn very bright but also very hot. Easy to get singed. After she leaves, I change into the silk pajamas that were left for me. Another gift from a dead sister I'll never meet. I check Elena one more time, brushing hair back from her forehead, then climb into my own bed. The sheets are cool and soft against my skin. Through the balcony doors, I can see stars, more than I ever see in the city, scattered across the sky like diamonds. Somewhere in this massive house, Dominic Russo is probably in his study or his office, making plans for a war that's being fought because of me. I should feel guilty. I should feel terrified. I should feel a lot of things. Instead, as I drift toward sleep, all I can think about is the feeling of his hands on my face and the way he said I was extraordinary. The way he looked at Elena with unexpected gentleness. The way he promised to keep us safe, and I believed him. In the morning, everything will be complicated. There will be questions and fears and 1,000 reasons why this situation is impossible. But for tonight, for the first time in 7 years, I fall asleep feeling protected, safe, and that's worth more than I want to admit. I wake to sunlight streaming through the French doors, and the sound of Elena's laughter floating up from somewhere below. For a moment, I'm disoriented, expecting to see the water-stained ceiling of my apartment. Then memory crashes back, and I sit up, heart pounding. The clock on the nightstand reads 8:30. I never sleep until 8:30, but the bed is empty beside me, Elena's side already made with hospital corners that suggest Mrs. Rosa's handiwork. I throw on the robe that's hanging on the bathroom door, another piece of luxury I'm not used to, and hurry downstairs, following the sound of my daughter's voice. I find her in what turns out to be a sunroom off the main kitchen, sitting at a table with Dominic. He's in jeans and a fitted t-shirt, more casual than I've seen him. His hair still damp like he recently showered. Elena is in her pajamas still, chocolate chip pancakes on her plate, describing something with wild hand gestures. And then the dinosaur was like, roar. Elena demonstrates, her arms spread wide. But the astronaut wasn't scared because she had a laser gun. Sounds like a brave astronaut, Dominic says seriously, as if they're discussing something of great importance. Did she defeat the dinosaur? Well, no, because the dinosaur was actually nice. He was just hungry. So she shared her space sandwiches with him and they became friends. Elena shovels another bite of pancake into her mouth. Mama says sharing is important. Your mama is a smart woman. Dominic looks up and sees me standing in the doorway. Something warm flashes in his eyes. Good morning. I hope you don't mind, Elena wanted. Breakfast and Mrs. Rosa convinced me to join her. You're wearing dinosaur pajamas, Elena announces proudly, pointing at my pants. I look down to see that yes, the pajamas, Mrs. Rosa provided do indeed have small dinosaurs on them. Heat floods my cheeks. Very observant. I manage. moving into the room. There's a coffee cup waiting at the seat next to Dominic, steam still rising from it. Thank you for watching her. My pleasure. He stands, pulling out the chair for me with old-world courtesy that seems out of place and perfectly natural at the same time. She's been telling me about her school and her friends, and a very complex story involving dinosaurs, astronauts, and sandwiches. I sit, and he pushes my chair in before returning to his own seat. The gesture is so smoothly done I almost don't notice it, but it makes my skin tingle. Men in my world don't pull out chairs. They don't have private estates or make pancakes with 7-year-olds or look at you like you're something precious. Mrs. Rosa said you have a library, Elena says to Dominic, her pancakes momentarily forgotten. Can I see it? I love reading. Mama takes me to the public library every Saturday, and the librarian knows my name. Every Saturday without fail. I confirm, sipping the coffee, which is perfect, exactly how I like it. How did he know? Even when I'm exhausted from work. Reading is important, Dominic says, his eyes on me rather than Elena. My sister used to say that books are windows into other worlds. The library is on the 2nd floor, West Wing. After you get dressed, Mrs. Rosa can show you. There's a section with children's books that I think you'll like. Why do you have children's books if you don't have kids? Elena asks with the bluntness of a child. The question hangs in the air. I see something painful flash across Dominic's face before he smooths it away. They were my sisters, he says quietly. She collected them. Hoped to have children someday. But he stops, and I see him struggling with how to explain death to a 7-year-old. She died. Elena finishes matter-of-factly. I know about that. My friend Kelsey's grandma died last year. It's sad, but Kelsey says she's in heaven now watching over her. Maybe your sister is in heaven watching over you. Out of the mouths of babes, I see Dominic's throat work as he swallows, and when he looks at Elena again, there's something raw and grateful in his expression. Maybe she is, he agrees. I like to think so. Then she can watch over all of us, Elena declares with the confident logic of childhood. Because we're here now, so we're your responsibility. That's what Mama says about her patients. Once you start taking care of someone, they're your responsibility until they're better. I nearly choke on my coffee. Elena, that's not exactly. She's right, though. Dominic's eyes meet mine over Elena's head. You are my responsibility now. All of you. Until this is over, and you're safe. The intensity in his gaze makes my breath catch. This is madness. Complete insanity. I barely know this man. And yet here we are, in his home. My daughter eating his pancakes and talking about his dead sister while he looks at me like I'm something worth protecting. Mama, can I go get dressed now? Elena asks, already sliding off her chair. I want to see the library. Let me come help you. I start to stand, but Elena's already running toward the door. I'm 7, Mama. I can dress myself. And she's gone. Her footsteps echoing through the massive house, leaving me alone with Dominic. The silence stretches between us, loaded with everything unsaid. Finally, I set down my coffee cup. You're good with her, I say quietly. Thank you for that. For making this easier on her. She's easy to be good with. He leans back in his chair, studying me. She's bright, curious, kind. You've done an incredible job raising her alone. I haven't had a choice. You've had choices. His voice is gentle but firm. You could have been bitter, could have taken shortcuts, could have raised a child who feels the weight of being unwanted by her father. Instead, you raised someone who thinks dinosaurs and astronauts can be friends and that dead people watch over the living. That takes strength, Sophia. Tears prick my eyes unexpectedly. No one ever tells me I'm doing a good job. No one sees the late nights and the missed meals and the constant juggling act of single parenthood. She's everything to me, I whisper. Everything. So whatever happens, whatever you need to do to keep her safe, I'll cooperate. I'll do whatever you ask. I'm not going to ask you to do anything except stay here and let me handle this. He reaches across the table, his hand covering mine. You've spent 7 years handling everything alone, Sophia. Let someone else carry the weight for a while. His hand is warm, calloused in a way that suggests he does more than sign papers and give orders. I should pull away, should maintain distance and boundaries and all the things that keep you safe from dangerous men. Instead, I turn my hand over, my fingers intertwining with his. I'm not used to depending on anyone. I admit, I know. His thumb strokes across my knuckles, the gesture soothing and electrifying at once. But you're going to have to get used to it. At least for now, Mrs. Rosa appears in the doorway, tactfully clearing her throat. Mr. Russo, Anthony is here. He says it's urgent. Dominic's expression shifts immediately, the warmth draining away to be replaced by cold focus. He releases my hand and stands. Tell him I'll be right there. He looks down at me. I have business to attend to. Feel free to explore. Use anything you need. The pool, the gym, the library. It's all yours. Just stay on the grounds. Am I a prisoner? The question comes out sharper than I intended. No. He shakes his head firmly. But you are protected, which means not leaving the property without security. The walls around this estate aren't just for show, Sophia. They keep threats out. And us in, I think, but don't say. He starts to leave, then pauses at the door. There are clothes in your closet. More of Gianna's things. Mrs. Rosa thought you might want options. Something vulnerable crosses his face. She would have liked you. My sister. She always said the best people were the ones who chose to help others even when it cost them something. Then he's gone, leaving me alone with cold coffee and the ghost of his dead sister and the terrifying realization that I'm starting to understand why she would have liked him. Why underneath the danger and the violence, there's something worth protecting too. I spend the morning exploring the estate with Elena and Mrs. Chen. The library turns out to be exactly what Elena dreamed of. 2 stories of books with a spiral staircase connecting them, and cozy reading nooks with cushioned window seats. Elena immediately claims one by a window, overlooking the gardens, and disappears into a picture book about dragons. The pool is Olympic-sized, indoor with a retractable roof, currently closed against the November chill. There's a gym that looks like it belongs in a professional athlete's training facility, a theater room with actual theater seats, and gardens that seem to go on forever, carefully maintained even in late fall. Mr. Russo's father built this place, Mrs. Rosa tells me as we walk through a greenhouse full of orchids. 40 years ago, it was his dream to have somewhere his family could be safe, away from the dangers of the city. Did it work? I ask. Did his family stay safe here? Mrs. Rosa's expression grows sad. His mother lived here until she passed 5 years ago. Same week as Gianna, actually. Cancer took them both. After that, Mr. Russo closed off the entire east wing. Too many memories. I look back at the massive house, seeing it differently now. Not a monument to wealth, but a fortress built by a father trying to protect his family. A fortress that failed to keep out the real enemy, disease and death and grief. He's lonely, Mrs. Rosa says quietly. Has been for a long time. All this space, all this luxury, and no one to share it with. The men who work for him, they respect him, maybe even love him in their way. But it's not the same as family. I don't know what to say to that. Don't know how to reconcile the lonely man she's describing with the mob boss who casually talks about war and neutralizing threats. That night, after Elena is asleep and Mrs. Chen has retired to her room, I find myself wandering the house. I tell myself I'm just exploring, learning the layout in case of emergency. But really, I'm looking for him. I find Dominic in his study, a room I haven't seen before. It's all dark wood and leather, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the gardens. He's at his desk, papers spread before him, a glass of whiskey at his elbow. He looks up when I knock softly on the doorframe. Can't sleep? He asks, setting down whatever he was reading. Too much sleep this morning. I step into the room, drawn by curiosity and something else I don't want to name. What are you working on? Making arrangements. His expression is carefully neutral. The situation with the Castellanos requires delicate handling, by which he means planning how to destroy them. I should be horrified. Instead, I'm just tired. Mrs. Rosa told me about your mother and sister. I say, moving to look at the photographs on the wall. There's one of a young Dominic with an older woman who has his eyes, both of them smiling at the camera. Another of a teenage girl with a bright smile, wearing scrubs covered in cartoon characters. She said you lost them the same week. My mother had been sick for a year, Dominic says quietly, coming to stand beside me. We knew it was coming. But Gianna, his voice cracks slightly. Gianna was supposed to beat it. The doctors said she was responding to treatment. Then suddenly she wasn't, and a week later she was gone. I look at the girl in the photo, so full of life, and my heart breaks for them both. I'm so sorry. She was the best of us, he continues, his eyes on his sister's photo. The only one who believed I could be more than what this life demanded. She used to tell me that power wasn't about fear. It was about protecting what mattered. He touches the frame gently. After she died, I stopped believing that. Started thinking maybe fear was safer, less likely to hurt when you lost it. Is that why you've been alone? I ask softly. He turns to look at me, and in his eyes I see everything he's not saying. The pain and the loneliness and the fear of caring about someone again only to lose them. Yes, he admits. It's easier to be alone, safer. Lonelier, though. Yes. A small smile touches his lips. Much lonelier. We stand there in the quiet study looking at each other and something shifts between us. Some invisible wall cracking, letting in light. Stay close to me tonight, he says suddenly, the words soft but urgent. Not because you have to, not because you're scared, but because I don't want to be alone anymore. My breath catches. This is dangerous territory, crossing a line we haven't acknowledged yet. But Mrs. Chen's words echo in my head. He looks at you like you're the only light in a dark room. And maybe I'm tired of being scared, tired of walls and boundaries and always protecting myself. Maybe for once, I want to be the one who's protected instead. Okay, I whisper. I'll stay. His eyes close briefly, relief washing over his features. Then he takes my hand, his fingers warm and strong around mine, and leads me to the leather couch by the window. We sit in comfortable silence, his arm around my shoulders, my head resting against his chest where I can hear his heartbeat, steady and strong. Outside, the gardens are dark, except for strategic lighting that turns the landscape into something magical. Thank you, he murmurs into my hair. For being here, for not running. Where would I run to? I try to make it a joke, but it comes out more serious than I intended. Anywhere. His arm tightens around me. Most people would have fought harder to leave, to get away from this world. But you're still here. Elena is still here, I correct. I'm here because she is. Is that the only reason? The question hangs in the air. I could lie, could maintain the fiction that this is just about protection and safety. But I'm tired of lying, even to myself. No, I admit quietly. Not the only reason. I feel his lips brush against my hair, gentle and reverent. Good, he whispers. Because I'm not ready to let you go yet. Not sure I'll ever be ready. We stay like that for hours, talking softly about everything and nothing. He tells me about growing up in this house, about his father's strict rules and his mother's gentle rebellion, about Gianna's dreams of being a pediatric oncology nurse, helping the kids she'd grown up alongside in her own treatment. I tell him about Elena's father, about the fear and humiliation of being abandoned while pregnant, about rebuilding my life one shift at a time, one small victory at a time, about the fierce joy of watching my daughter grow into someone brave and kind despite everything. You're extraordinary, he says again. And this time I don't protest. Just let the words settle into my heart like seeds that might grow into something dangerous. Eventually, exhaustion wins. I drift off there on his couch, safe in his arms, more at peace than I've been in years. When I wake just before dawn, he's still there, still holding me. His eyes are closed, but I don't think he's asleep, protecting me even in this, making sure I rest while he keeps watch. Stay close to me tonight, he'd whispered. And I had. God help me, I had. The next 5 days pass in a strange bubble of almost normalcy. Elena thrives in the Reed estate, spending her mornings in the library with Mrs. Rosa, teaching her to bake in the afternoons, and her evenings in the pool, with me watching from the edge. Mrs. Chen tends the greenhouse, coaxing the orchids into bloom with the same patient care she's always shown Elena. And Dominic becomes a constant presence in ways I never expected. He joins us for breakfast every morning, listening to Elena's chatter about her books and her dreams. He teaches her to play chess in the library, patient with her mistakes, genuinely delighted when she beats him for the first time. He asks about my nursing career, wants to know about the cases that haunt me, the patients I couldn't save. At night, after Elena is asleep, I find myself drawn to his study. We sit on that leather couch, talking until dawn, his arms around me, my head on his chest. We don't kiss again, don't cross that final line, but the intimacy of those hours, the sharing of stories and fears and hopes, feels more profound than any physical connection. Tell me about the first time you knew you wanted to be a nurse, he asks one night, his fingers playing absently with my hair. I smile, remembering. I was 8. My grandmother had a heart attack, and I watched the paramedics save her life. They were so calm, so confident, so in control while everyone else was panicking. I wanted to be like that. Wanted to be the person who could keep death at bay. Can you? He asks quietly. Keep death at bay? Sometimes. I trace patterns on his chest through his shirt. Not always, but trying matters. Showing up matters. Being there when someone is terrified and in pain and needs someone to tell them it's going to be okay, that matters. Even when it's not going to be okay? I hear the deeper question beneath his words. The one about his mother and sister, about all the times medicine failed him. Especially then, I say softly, because sometimes all we can do is make sure people don't die alone and afraid. That's not nothing, Dominic. His arms tighten around me. Gianna had you at the end. Well, not you specifically, but nurses like you. They held her hand when I couldn't, when I was too broken to be strong for her. You were grieving, I say. That's allowed. Not in my world. His voice is bitter. In my world, weakness is death. Showing emotion is showing vulnerability. So I locked it all away, became harder, colder, better at the game but worse at being human. I shift so I can see his face. You're not cold, Dominic. Not with Elena, not with Mrs. Rosa. Not with me. Only with you, he corrects, his hand coming up to cup my face. You and Elena are the first people in 5 years who've made me want to be soft again. Want to be someone Gianna would have been proud of. The confession steals my breath. I see the truth of it in his eyes. The fear and the hope warring for dominance. She would be proud, I whisper. You're protecting people. That's what she wanted you to do. I'm also planning to destroy an entire crime family, he points out dryly. To keep innocents safe, I counter. There's a difference between violence for power and violence for protection. Gianna would have understood that. He pulls me closer, his face buried in my hair. I don't deserve you, he murmurs. Don't deserve the way you see me, the way you make me want to be better. Maybe it's not about deserving, I say. Maybe it's just about choosing. I choose to see the good in you. You choose to protect us. That's enough. We fall asleep like that, tangled together on the couch, the study windows showing the first hints of dawn. On the 6th day, everything changes. I wake in my own bed, surprised. I don't remember Dominic carrying me upstairs, but he must have. There's a note on my nightstand in his bold handwriting. Had to handle some business. Should be back by dinner. Stay safe. D. Elena is already awake, playing with Mrs. Chen in the library. I join them, trying to ignore the product, knot of anxiety in my stomach. Dominic's absence feels wrong, like a missing piece of myself. Mama, look. Elena holds up a book. Mrs. Rosa found this whole series about a girl who solves mysteries with her dog. Can we read them together? Of course, baby. I settle into the window seat with her, grateful for the distraction. But the knot doesn't go away. It grows tighter as the morning wears on, as lunch passes with no word from Dominic. By mid-afternoon, I'm pacing the study, my phone clutched in my hand even though he took my real phone days ago for security and the one he gave me has no messages. Anthony appears in the doorway at 3 o'clock, his expression carefully neutral in a way that makes my heart race. Miss Castellano, I need you to come with me. There's been a development. What kind of development? I demand. Where's Dominic? He's secure, Anthony says, which isn't really an answer. But he's asked for you. It's important. The drive takes us into the city, to a building in the financial district that looks like any other skyscraper. But the security is intense. Metal detectors and multiple checkpoints. Men with visible weapons standing guard. Anthony leads me to a conference room on the 20th floor. And there, sitting at the head of a long table with his jacket off and his sleeves rolled up, looking exhausted and dangerous in equal measure, is Dominic. He stands when he sees me, relief washing over his face. Sophia, thank God. What's going on? I ask, looking around the room at the other men present, all of them wearing expensive suits and expressions that range from curious to hostile. The Castellanos made their move, Dominic says grimly. They went after one of my legitimate businesses, tried to frame me for fraud to force my hand with the evidence I have on them. Did it work? A cold smile touches his lips. No, but it accelerated things. We're meeting with them in an hour to negotiate terms, and I need you here. I stare at... Why? I'm not part of this, Dominic. You're not just anything. He cuts me off, moving around the table to stand in front of me. His hands cup my face, and he doesn't seem to care that we have an audience. You're the reason I'm choosing negotiation over war. The reason I'm trying to end this without more bloodshed. They need to see that. Need to understand that you're not just a pawn to me. What am I then? The question comes out barely above a whisper. His eyes hold mine, dark and intense. Everything, he says simply. You're everything, Sophia. The room is dead silent. I'm aware of all the eyes on us, of the weight of this moment. This declaration in front of his people, his equals, is as binding as any legal document. The Castellanos will be here in 30 minutes, someone says, breaking the spell. Dominic drops his hands but doesn't step back. Sophia, I need you to trust me. Can you do that? I think about the last 6 days. About him teaching Elena chess, and listening to my stories, and holding me through the night. About the way he looks at me like I'm precious, like I matter beyond just guilt or obligation. Yes, I say. I trust you. Relief and something deeper, something that looks a lot like love, flashes across his face. Then stay close to me. No matter what happens, no matter what they say, stay by my side. The next 30 minutes pass in a blur. Dominic briefs me on what to expect, who will be there, what the Castellanos might try. Anthony brings me a chair, positioning it next to Dominic's at the head of the table. They'll try to intimidate you, Dominic warns. Try to make you feel small or guilty or afraid. Don't let them. You saved my life, Sophia. You did nothing wrong. Then they arrive. Marco Castellano is in his 60s, silver-haired and sharp-eyed, wearing a suit that probably costs more than my car. He's flanked by 3 men, all of them radiating violence barely contained by expensive tailoring. When his eyes land on me, something predatory flashes in their depths. Russo, he says, not offering his hand. I see you brought your nurse. Miss Castellano is here as my guest. Dominic replies coolly, his hand finding mine under the table, squeezing gently. Shall we discuss terms? What follows is an hour of the most tense conversation I've ever witnessed. The men speak in careful euphemisms about business interests and territorial disputes, and unfortunate misunderstandings, but the underlying threat is always there, lurking beneath the polite words. The Castellanos want the evidence Dominic has on them. In exchange, they're willing to cease all operations in Dominic's territories and pay substantial reparations. And what about her? Marco asks, nodding toward me. What happens to the nurse who got caught in the middle? She's under my protection, Dominic says flatly. Permanently. Anyone who touches her or her daughter answers to me personally. That's non-negotiable. Quite attached to her, aren't you? Marco's smile is ugly. Interesting. For a man who's been alone for so long, makes a person wonder what she did to earn such devotion beyond basic medical care. I feel Dominic tense beside me, feel the violence coiling in him like a snake about to strike. I squeeze his hand back, silently urging restraint. Miss Castellano earned my respect by being an exceptional nurse and a remarkable woman, Dominic says, his voice deadly calm. She earned my protection by being caught in a war she didn't start and never wanted any part of. And she earned my devotion by showing me that there are still good people in this world worth fighting for. Is that explanation sufficient? The room goes silent. Marco studies us both, his expression unreadable. You've changed, Russo, he finally says. The man I knew 5 years ago would have burned my empire to ash and never blinked. But now you're here, negotiating, trying to avoid bloodshed. He leans forward. All because of her? Yes. No hesitation, no shame. All because of her. Marco sits back, something that might be respect flickering in his eyes. Then perhaps we can reach an arrangement after all. The negotiations continue, but the tone has shifted. Marco seems to accept that Dominic isn't bluffing, that I really do matter to him. By the time they leave 2 hours later, an agreement has been reached. The evidence will be returned in exchange for the Castellanos withdrawing from disputed territories and a substantial payment. And I am to be left alone, guaranteed safe, by Marco's word and Dominic's reputation. When the door finally closes behind them, I realize I've been holding my breath. Dominic slumps back in his chair, exhaustion evident in every line of his body. Is it really over? I ask. It's really over, he confirms. You're safe, Sophia. You and Elena both. I should feel relief, should feel grateful. But all I feel is a strange sense of loss. So I can go home now. I say slowly. Back to my apartment, my job, my life. Dominic's expression shifts, something raw and almost desperate crossing his face. You could, he agrees carefully. The threat is neutralized. You're under no obligation to stay. The words hang between us, loaded with everything we haven't said. All those nights on his couch, all those shared stories and gentle touches, all the ways we've been growing closer without acknowledging what it means. What if I don't want to go? The words slip out before I can stop them. His eyes snap to mine, hope and fear warring in their depths. Sophia, I mean it. I stand, turning to face him fully. These last 6 days, they've been the strangest of my life, but they've also been some of the best. Elena is happy here, thriving in ways she never could in our tiny apartment. Mrs. Chen has her orchids and her baking, and I swallow hard. I've remembered what it feels like to not carry everything alone, to have someone strong enough to share the weight. He rises slowly, moving toward me with the careful approach of someone afraid to spook a skittish animal. What are you saying? I'm saying maybe I want to stay, I whisper. Not because I'm scared or because I need protection, but because the words stick in my throat, too big and terrifying to voice. Because you what? His hands frame my face, his thumbs stroking my cheekbones. Say it, Sophia. Please. Because I'm falling in love with you. I breathe. And I don't know when it happened or how, but somewhere between the trauma bay and your study couch, between watching you teach my daughter chess and holding me through the night, I fell. And I don't know how to climb back out. The sound he makes is somewhere between a laugh and a sob. His forehead drops to rest against mine, his breath mingling with mine. Don't climb out, he murmurs. God, Sophia, please don't climb out. Because I fell the moment you told me I wasn't allowed to die on your watch. I fell when you accepted my help despite being terrified. I fell when you trusted me with your daughter and saw good in me when everyone else only sees a monster. His lips brush mine, featherlight and reverent. I love you. Completely. Terrifyingly. I love you. This kiss is nothing like the brief one in his Florence study. This is desperation and relief and promise all rolled into one. His hands tangle in my hair, pulling me closer, and I go willingly, wrapping my arms around his neck and kissing him back with everything I have. When we finally break apart, both breathing hard, his smile is radiant. Stay, he says simply. Not as my guest or someone I'm protecting. Stay as mine. You and Elena both. Let me give you the life you deserve. The security and comfort and love you've been fighting so hard for alone. Dominic, I can't just... I start, but he cuts me off with another kiss. You can, he insists. Elena's already talking about how she doesn't want to leave. Mrs. Chen told me this morning that the orchids need her. And Mrs. Rosa is planning to teach you her grandmother's recipes. His eyes are warm, almost pleading. You fit here, Sophia. You fit with me. Please don't leave just because the danger is gone. I think about going back to my apartment, to 12-hour shifts, and constant exhaustion. Think about Elena in her cramped bedroom instead of the library she's fallen in love with. Think about nights alone instead of wrapped in Dominic's arms. I'd have to keep working, I say, and his face lights up because he knows I'm negotiating, not refusing. I'm not going to be some kept woman who sits around all day. I need my career, my purpose. Of course. He's nodding eagerly. I own a hospital. Did you know that? Street Catherine's on the north side. They could use someone of your caliber in their ER. Better hours, better pay, whatever you need. You own a hospital? I ask faintly. Several, actually. Legitimate businesses. All of them. He grins, looking younger and lighter than I've ever seen him. Turns out my sister's dreams of healing people influenced me more than I realized. Is that a problem? No, I shake my head amazed. That's actually perfect. What else? He asks. What else do you need to say yes? Elena has to agree, I say firmly. I won't uproot her life without her consent. Agreed. We'll ask her together. And Mrs. Chen. She's part of our family. Already planned for. She has a permanent room here, her own space, her orchids, whatever she needs. I search his face, looking for cracks in this perfect picture he's painting. Why? Why do all this for us? You barely know us. I know enough, he says, his voice fervent. I know you're brave and kind and stronger than you give yourself credit for. I know Elena is bright and loving and deserves every advantage I can give her. I know that for the first time in 5 years, I don't feel empty. His hands cup my face again. I know I want to wake up every morning with you in my arms and go to sleep every night knowing you're safe under my roof. I know I want to be the one Elena runs to with her stories and the one you lean on when you're tired. Is that enough reason? Tears spill down my cheeks, but they're happy tears this time. Yes, I whisper. Yes, that's enough. His kiss tastes like salt from my tears and promise for the future. When he pulls back, he's smiling wider than I've ever seen. Let's go tell Elena, he says. Let's go tell her she gets to keep her library and her pool and her dinosaur books. We drive back to the estate holding hands, Anthony driving with a knowing smile on his face. When we arrive, Elena is in the garden with Mrs. Chen, both of them bundled in coats against the November chill, examining something in the koi pond. Elena, I call, and she comes running, Mrs. Chen following more slowly. Mama, come see. The biggest fish came up to eat from my hand. I kneel down to her level, Dominic crouching beside me. Baby, I need to ask you something important. Can you listen? She nods solemnly, sensing the weight of the moment. The danger is over, I explain carefully. The bad men aren't going to bother us anymore, which means we can go home now, back to our apartment. Elena's face falls. But I don't want to go home. I like it here. I know, sweetie. I like it here too. I glance at Dominic, who squeezes my hand encouragingly. So Mr. Russo has invited us to stay, not just for a little while, but permanently. To live here, to make this our home. What do you think about that? Elena's eyes go wide. Really? Forever and ever? Forever and ever? Dominic confirms. If that's what you want. You'd have your own room, your library, the pool, whenever you want. And your mama would be here too, not working all the time. We'd be a family. A family, Elena repeats, testing the word. Then she looks at Dominic with her serious, assessing expression. Would you be like a daddy? I see Dominic's throat work as he swallows. If you wanted me to be, he says softly, I'd be honored to be your daddy, Elena, to take care of you and your mama, to read you stories and teach you things and make sure you're never scared or alone. Elena considers this for approximately 3 seconds. Then she launches herself at him, wrapping her small arms around his neck. Yes, I want to stay. I want you to be my daddy. Over her head, Dominic's eyes meet mine, bright with unshed tears. He holds Elena close, one hand coming up to steady her, and I see the exact moment he commits completely. Not just to me, but to her, to us. Then it's settled, he says, his voice thick with emotion. We're a family now. Mrs. Chen approaches, her weathered face warm. This is good, she says simply. This is as it should be. Elena needs a father, Sophia needs a partner, and you, Mr. Russo, you need them both. She pats his arm. I will stay too, help with Elena, tend the orchids. Someone needs to keep all of you in line. Dominic laughs, the sound free and genuine. Thank you, Mrs. Chen, for everything. That night, after Elena is asleep and Mrs. Chen has retired, I find myself back in Dominic's study. But this time, instead of sitting on the couch, he pulls me into his lap in his desk chair, holding me close. I can't believe this is real, I murmur against his chest. That I'm here, that we're doing this. It's real, he assures me, pressing a kiss to my hair. You're mine now, Sophia. Mine to protect, mine to love, mine to build a life with. And I'm yours. Whatever you need, whatever you want, it's yours. I just want this, I say honestly. You, Elena, this peace. That's more than I ever thought I'd have. His arms tighten around me. You'll have so much more. I promise you. We sit like that for a long time, wrapped in each other and the quiet of the night. Outside, the gardens are dark except for the stars above, brilliant and infinite. What happens now? I ask eventually. Now. He tilts my face up, so he can see me. Now we live. We build a life together. I go to work. You go to work. We come home to Elena and Mrs. Chen and Mrs. Rose's cooking. We're just, he searches for the word, normal. I laugh at the absurdity of it. Normal, us. Well, normal for us. He grins. Normal with security details and a private chef and a library that could rival a small university, but normal nonetheless. I love you, I say, the words easier this time. I know it's fast. I know it's probably crazy, but I love you. I love you too, he replies, and kisses me until I'm breathless. And it's not crazy. When you know You know. When did you know? I ask curiously. What moment? He considers the question seriously. I think I knew when you came to my office that first night, terrified but determined to see your grandmother. You were shaking, but you looked me in the eye and told me you'd think about my offer. Not cowed, not manipulated, just, he pauses, brave. And I remember thinking that someone that brave was worth protecting. And when did it become love? The moment you didn't run, he says simply. When you had every reason to leave, to get away from me and my world, but you stayed. You chose to stay close, to trust me. That's when I knew I'd never let you go. Stay close to me tonight. I echo the words from that first night in his study. But this time, they're not about fear or protection. They're about choice, about love, about building something beautiful from the ashes of danger. Always, he promises. I'll always stay close to you, Sophia, for the rest of our lives. 3 months later, the hospital cafeteria is nothing like the one at St. Mary's Street. Catherine's has actual food, comfortable seating, and windows that let in natural light. I'm eating lunch with 2 of the other ER nurses, discussing a difficult case from this morning, when my phone buzzes. It's a text from Dominic. How's your day? Busy, I type back. 3 traumas before. Noon. How's yours? Boring meetings. Missing you. Dinner at home tonight? Mrs. Rosa is making your favorite. I smile at my phone like a lovesick teenager. My coworkers notice. That's the face of a woman in love, Maria says, grinning. She followed me to Street Catherine's when I changed hospitals, drawn by better pay and the promise of working with me again. How is the mysterious Mr. Russo? Good, I say, not bothering to hide my happiness. Really good. The truth is, these last 3 months have been the best of my life. I wake up every morning in Dominic's arms. I have breakfast with him and Elena, listening to my daughter chatter about her new school, the friends she's made, the advanced reading program they've put her in. I go to work at a hospital where I'm valued and respected, where the equipment is state-of-the-art and the pay is more than fair. And I come home to a man who looks at me like I hung the stars, who listens to my stories about difficult patients and holds me when I've had a bad day, who plays chess with Elena and reads her bedtime stories and never once makes her feel like she's not his real daughter. Next month, Dominic wants to take us to Italy, to the villa in Tuscany where this all started. Elena is excited about learning Italian, about seeing the Colosseum and eating gelato. Mrs. Chen is making lists of plants she wants to see in Italian gardens. Mrs. Rosa is already planning menus. My phone buzzes again. Another text from Dominic, this time a photo. It's Elena in his office, sitting at his desk with a very serious expression, papers spread before her. She insisted on helping with business today. The caption reads, I think I'm in trouble. She's already reorganized my filing system. I laugh out loud, drawing curious looks from my coworkers. I don't care. This is my life now. This beautiful, unexpected, slightly crazy life where I'm loved fiercely by a dangerous man with a gentle heart and raising my daughter in a palace with orchids and libraries, and a father who would move heaven and earth to keep her safe. You look happy, Maria observes. Really happy. I'm glad, Sophia. After everything you've been through, you deserve it. I am happy, I confirm, tucking my phone away. Happier than I ever thought I could be. That night, I come home to find candles lit throughout the house and soft music playing. Elena and Mrs. Chen are mysteriously absent, and Dominic is waiting in the foyer wearing a suit, looking nervous in a way I've never seen. What's all this? I ask, letting him take my coat. A celebration, he says, guiding me toward the dining room, where a table for 2 is set with flowers and the good china. 3 months since you agreed to stay. 3 months since we became a family. We have dinner, just the 2 of us, talking and laughing about our days. Then, as dessert is being served, Dominic stands and moves to kneel beside my chair. My breath catches. Sophia, he says, taking my hand. These last 3 months have been the best of my life. Waking up next to you, coming home to you and Elena, building a life together. It's everything I never knew I wanted. He pulls a small velvet box from his pocket. I know it's fast. I know some people will think we're crazy. But when you know, you know. And I know I want to spend the rest of my life with you. He opens the box to reveal a ring, simple but stunning, with a diamond that catches the candlelight. Will you marry me, Sophia? Will you let me be your husband, Elena's father, the man who gets to love you for the rest of our lives? Tears stream down my face as I nod. Yes, I whisper, Yes, Dominic, yes. He slides the ring onto my finger, then pulls me into his arms, kissing me like I'm oxygen and he's been drowning. When we finally break apart, I hear a squeal from the doorway. Elena and Mrs. Chen are there, Elena bouncing with excitement. Did she say yes? Is it official? Am I going to be a flower girl? Dominic laughs, reaching out to pull her into our embrace. She said yes, Piccola. We're getting married. Finally, Elena declares with all the drama of a 7-year-old. I was waiting forever. Mrs. Chen dabs at her eyes with a handkerchief. This is good, she says again, just like she did 3 months ago. This is as it should be. That night, after Elena is finally asleep, Dominic and I stand on our balcony, looking out at the gardens and the stars beyond. His arms are around me from behind, his chin resting on my shoulder, my left hand held up where we can both see the ring glinting in the moonlight. No regrets? He asks softly. Not one. I answer honestly. This isn't the life I planned, but it's so much better than anything I could have imagined. We still have challenges ahead, he warns. My world isn't completely safe. There will always be risks. I know, I interrupt, turning in his arms to face him. And I'm choosing it anyway. Choosing you, choosing us, because what we have is worth any risk. His kiss is tender, reverent, full of promise. I love you, he murmurs against my lips. I will love you for the rest of my life. I love you too, I whisper back, my dangerous man with the gentle heart, my unexpected hero. Stay close to me tonight, he says, and I know he'll say it every night for the rest of our lives. Always, I promise, always. In the end, it wasn't about the money or the danger or the dramatic rescue. It was about 2 broken people finding each other in the chaos and choosing to be brave, choosing to love despite the fear, to trust despite the risk, to build something beautiful in the darkness. I saved his life in that trauma bay 3 months ago, never knowing he would save mine in return. Not from physical danger, though he did that too, but from loneliness, from the crushing weight of carrying everything alone, from forgetting that I deserved softness and care, and a partner who would stand beside me through anything. Elena has a father who adores her. Mrs. Chen has her orchids and her purpose. And I have Dominic, the man who whispered stay close to me tonight and meant forever. In 6 months, I'll walk down an aisle in the gardens of this estate, wearing white and carrying flowers, with Elena as my flower girl, and Mrs. Chen and Mrs. Rosa crying in the front row. Dominic will promise to love and cherish me, and I'll promise the same, and we'll build a life that honors both his sister's memory and our own love story. But tonight, in the quiet darkness with the stars overhead and his arms around me, I'm already home, already his, already exactly where I belong. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you loved this story, check out the other videos on your screen now. I think you'll really enjoy them. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. See you in the next story.